Hey guys, tonight we're stepping into a world that's rarely talked about. A world behind silk screens and painted smiles. It's not the noble samurai battles or cherry blossom poetry you've seen in the movies. Nope. We're diving into something a little more hidden. The secret, silent world of the concubines in medieval Japan. Before you get cozy, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you actually enjoy what I do here. And let me know in the comments where you're tuning in from and what time it is for you. I love seeing how far this little community reaches. Now dim the lights. Maybe lie down. Breathe a little slower. Because where we're going, comfort doesn't exist. And survival isn't promised. Congratulations. You've just woken up in the year 1472. The good news? You're alive. The bad news? You belong to a man you've never met. You're 16, maybe 17. Or younger. Age doesn't matter. You were chosen for your face, your skin, the way your voice didn't irritate the nobleman's ears. Your family? They were paid off. A few coins. A promise of rice. That's all it took to give you away. You're inside a daimyo's estate now. A lord's mansion. It sounds fancy, right? But don't let your imagination fool you. This isn't a palace. It's a prison wrapped in silk. Your bed is a thin roll of cotton on a wooden floor. It smells faintly of mold and sweat. You share the room with 5 other girls. One is crying softly. Another hasn't spoken in days. And the one closest to the door? She's learned how to disappear when the footsteps come. There's no privacy. No locks. No safety. Just paper walls and the sound of male laughter in the distance. You hear a bell. Not the kind from temples or shrines. This one is smaller. Sharper. It means one of you is wanted tonight. Your stomach turns. You were told you'd be cared for. Federal protected. Maybe you even believed it. But that was before you saw the older girls. The ones who served for years. Their faces blank. Their eyes distant. Like their souls had been pulled out slowly, thread by thread. You haven't eaten since yesterday. Breakfast isn't a thing here. You might get rice, maybe soup, if someone remembers. But food isn't the priority. Beauty is. And beauty in this place means control. Obedience. Silence. You're ushered into a small room before dusk. It's time to prepare. The older woman, the caretaker, they call her, starts brushing your hair. Hard. Not gently like a mother would, but like she's scrubbing dirt off a floorboard. Your scalp stings, but you don't move. Then comes the powder. Thick, chalky white paste slapped onto your face and neck. It smells like crushed shells and sweat. Your eyebrows are plucked off completely. Because in this world, innocence is a blank canvas. They blacken your teeth with burnt iron filings and vinegar. It tastes awful. Metallic and sour. But you're not supposed to spit it out. Black teeth are fashionable. A sign you're taken. Owned. The irony makes your throat tighten. Now comes the kimono. It's beautiful, heavy, and stiff. Layers of silk embroidered with scenes of birds and flowers. But it's not meant for comfort. It's meant to display you. Like a doll in a lacquer box. You can barely move in it. The wooden sandals don't fit right. Your toes ache. But there's no time to complain. A servant whispers that the Lord has called for you. Your knees buckle a little. You try not to cry. One of the older girls touches your arm briefly before you leave. It's the only kindness you've had all day. You're led through the mansion. Past tatami mats and painted screens. The air smells like incense and old sake. Every step echoes. Every breath feels too loud. You arrive at the Lord's chamber. The door slides open. He doesn't look at you. He just waves the servant away. You're left alone. The door clicks shut. You kneel. That's the rule. Eyes down. Hands folded. Wait for permission to speak. But he doesn't say anything for a while. You can hear him drinking, pouring, swallowing. The silence is unbearable. When he finally looks at you, his expression is blank. Not angry. Not kind. Just empty. Like you're nothing more than part of the room. He tells you to sing. Your throat is dry, but you try. Your voice shakes. You forget the words halfway through. He doesn't seem to care. He's already moving toward you. What happens next is something you'll try to forget. But you won't. Not fully. Because the body remembers. Even when the mind wants to disappear. Hours pass. Or maybe minutes. Time bends in this place. When it's over, you're dismissed with a wave. Like a servant. Or a shadow. You walk back through the halls. Slowly. Painfully. Your kimono is twisted, your legs sore. The other girls don't ask what happened. They already know. They've all had their turn. Some more than once. Some every night. You lie down on your mat. It's damp. Your head is spinning. You stare at the ceiling, tracing the wooden beams with your eyes. Anything to distract yourself. You try to sleep. But sleep is hard when your body is still shaking. When your skin doesn't feel like yours. There's no rescue coming. No hero in armor. No hidden door. This is your life now. And it's only your first night. The room is silent except for the shallow breathing of the girls beside you. One of them is murmuring in her sleep. Maybe it's a dream. Or maybe a memory trying to escape. You curl up tighter under your thin blanket, but it doesn't help. The chill still slips through the seams. There's no fire in this part of the estate. Heat is reserved for the Lord's quarters. The rest of you, you're just here to exist until you're needed again. Morning comes too fast. It's not the sun that wakes you. It's the wooden clack of sandals in the hallway. The caretaker is already yelling. She wants everyone dressed, teeth blackened, faces powdered, and knees ready. Your joints ache from the floor, your back stiff from the way you lay last night. You didn't move much. You couldn't. You sit up slowly. Every part of you feels like it belongs to someone else now. Your hands, your legs, your mouth, they don't feel like yours anymore. There's a basin of cold water waiting in the corner. You wash your face the way they taught you. Gently. With your fingertips. No splashing. No signs of emotion. Then comes the makeup again. White face. Red lips. Your own reflection looks like a mask. You barely recognize yourself. The caretaker comes in and points to two of the girls. They've been chosen for some morning entertainment. Not for the Lord this time. For his guests. Foreign merchants from the south. Portuguese maybe. Dutch. You don't know. Doesn't matter. The rules are the same. You're told to clean the outer corridor. It's a narrow wooden passage that wraps around the estate's garden. The cherry trees are in bloom now. Petals drift across the floor like snowflakes. You pause, just for a second, watching one land near your foot. It's beautiful, and for a moment, the world doesn't feel so cruel. Then the caretaker's stick taps your shoulder, hard. Back to work. Your hands are raw from scrubbing, but there's no stopping until the hall shines. Everything here is appearance. The dirt must be hidden. The pain, too. No one wants to see a concubine cry. It spoils the fantasy. Later, you're sent to serve tea. Not to speak. Just to pour, bow, and leave. The men laugh loudly. You don't know what they're saying, but they're looking at you. Staring. Like you're a dish on the table. Like you're edible. You keep your eyes on the teapot. Your hands are steady, even though your heart isn't. One of them grabs your wrist as you try to bow away. He says something in broken Japanese. His breath stinks of fish and wine. You flinch, and the caretaker hurries over. She bows deeply, apologizing for you. She yanks you back out into the hall and slaps you once across the cheek. Not hard enough to bruise, just hard enough to remind you, you are not allowed to react. The sting stays for hours. That afternoon, the older girls teach you to play the koto. It's a long, stringed instrument, soft and elegant. The sound is haunting. They say music calms the Lord. You learn the notes slowly. Your fingers fumble at first. But they tell you to keep going. You'll need it. Probably tonight. You ask one of them, very quietly, how long they've been here. She shrugs. Says time doesn't work the same in this place. One season bleeds into the next. You come in as a girl. You leave as a ghost. If you're lucky, you don't leave at all, you just disappear. The evening comes with another call. It's not for you, not yet. Another girl is chosen. She doesn't cry. She doesn't even blink. She just stands, straightens her obi, and walks. Like a soldier. Like someone who's accepted this is all she'll ever be. You envy her numbness. You try not to count the hours. But they drag on anyway. Your stomach growls. You haven't eaten more than a handful of rice all day. Hunger is normal here. You're told it keeps the face slim, the eyes hollow. Men like that look. The fragile look. Like you'll break if they touch you. And maybe you will. You try to remember your old home. Your mother's voice. The way she used to braid your hair. The smell of the little charcoal stove near the door. You try to remember what freedom felt like. But the memories are fading. Like smoke through the cracks of a paper screen. Someone plays the flute in a distant room. The melody floats through the corridors. Sad. Slow. Like a farewell. You lie back down, still dressed. You don't undress anymore. You never know when you'll be called. Sleep comes in patches, in nervous bursts. Your dreams are strange. Sometimes you're floating down a river. Other times you're trapped under the floorboards, screaming through the cracks while the house goes on without you. No one hears. There's a story the older girls whisper sometimes. About a concubine who tried to run. She made it to the outer gate before they caught her. No one knows what happened after. But her sandals were still there the next morning, neatly placed by the steps. The message was clear. There's no outside for you anymore. The next night, your name is called again. You don't cry this time. You don't beg. You just stand. Like she did. Fix your robe. Powder your face again. Step into your sandals. Walk. The caretaker bows as you pass. Not out of kindness. It's ritual. Everything here is ritual. A show. A performance. Behind the sliding door, the Lord waits. He looks at you. Then past you. Like you're not real. Like you're part of the furniture. He says one word. You kneel. And the night begins again. The floor creaks beneath your knees. It's polished smooth, but the cold still seeps through. Your back is straight, your eyes low. Your hands folded exactly the way they taught you. There's no room for mistakes. Not here. The Lord doesn't speak much tonight. He's already drinking. You can hear the clink of the cup, the slow pour of sake. He hums an old song under his breath, slightly off tune. You stay perfectly still. He asks you to dance? Your legs feel like they're made of wood. But you stand. You bow. Then you move, gracefully, silently, trying to remember the steps. The flick of the sleeves. The angle of your neck. You learned this routine a week ago. But your body doesn't cooperate. It's sore. Tight. You stumble once. He laughs. Not cruelly. Not kindly either. Just like he's watching a bird with a broken wing try to fly. You finish your dance and kneel again. The silence that follows stretches thin. Then he speaks. Softly. Like he's remembering something. He tells you about a different girl. One who used to sing better than anyone. He says her voice would make even the old soldiers cry. You wonder where she is now. If she's still here. If she's buried beneath this floor. He tells you to sing something. Anything. Your lips part. Your voice trembles. But a song comes out. One your mother used to sing when the rain hit the roof. It's not perfect. But it's real. And for a brief moment, the Lord goes still. Then it's over. He waves you away, like a tired merchant pushing aside an empty bowl. You bow deeply and back out of the room. Your hands tremble as you slide the door shut behind you. The hallway is dark. Quiet. No footsteps. No voices. Just the echo of your own heartbeat. You walk slowly back to your chamber. Inside, the girls are already sleeping. One of them stirs as you lie down. She reaches for your hand beneath the blanket. It's small, cold, but it stays there. And for now, that's enough. The next morning, the courtyard is full of noise. A new guest has arrived. Another nobleman. Maybe a friend of the Lord's. Maybe someone who paid for a night of entertainment. You're not told his name. You're just ordered to bathe. The bathhouse is a narrow wooden room. Steam clouds the air. The water is hot, but you can't enjoy it. You scrub yourself with rice bran and ash, under the sharp eyes of an attendant. No bruises. No marks. Skin must stay clean. Pale. Perfect. After the bath, you're oiled and powdered. Your hair is twisted into a knot so tight it pulls at your scalp. Another kimono. This one red. Embroidered with cranes. You're led to the tea room. You kneel behind the screen and wait. The man enters. You peek once and regret it. He's older. Thick hands. Greedy eyes. He smells of tobacco and sea salt. He doesn't speak to you. He speaks about you. To the caretaker. As if you're not even there. Then he laughs. Loud. Says something about fragile things being easy to break. You're brought into the room. He lifts your chin, inspecting you like a piece of lacquerware. You don't flinch. You've learned not to. He eats slowly, messily. Tosses bones on the floor. Spills wine down his robe and laughs about it. He tells stories you don't understand. Stories about war, and money, and women who didn't know their place. Then he touches your wrist. It's not your turn tonight. That's what the caretaker said. You were just there to serve tea. But this man didn't care about turns. The caretaker tries to protest, but softly. Carefully. He brushes her aside. You feel your chest tighten. Your ears ring. The room feels too small. He grips harder. But before anything else can happen, a voice interrupts. It's the Lord. He walks in calmly. Smiling. But there's steel in his tone. He tells the guest there's been a mistake. That this one is off limits tonight. That a better girl has been prepared. One more suited to his taste. The guest grumbles. Laughs it off. He doesn't press. He lets go of your wrist. But his eyes don't. You bow so low your forehead grazes the floor. Later that night, you ask the oldest girl why the Lord stepped in. She shrugs. Says maybe you reminded him of someone. Or maybe he just didn't want the guest to break his toy before he was done playing with it. You feel sick. Days pass like fog. There's no calendar. No clocks. Only the rhythm of footsteps, bells, and whispered names. You begin to lose track of yourself. Your own voice sounds distant. When you speak, it's softer. Measured. Like you're afraid to hear your own thoughts too loudly. You've stopped dreaming. But the worst nights are when you're not called. Because then you lie awake. Waiting. Listening. Wondering who is. Wondering what's happening in the room with the red lantern. Wondering if it'll be your turn tomorrow. Or in an hour. And sometimes you start to hope you are called. Just so the waiting ends. You hate yourself for that thought. But in this place, even nightmares are better than anticipation. You begin to understand why the older girls are so quiet. It's not fear. It's preservation. Their silence is armor. And soon you'll learn to wear it too. You wake up with a start. Not because someone called your name this time, but because of a dream. A memory maybe. The sound of your father's voice calling you home as the sun dipped behind the rice fields. You could smell the damp earth. Feel the warmth of the day fading from your skin. But now it's gone. Replaced with the musty scent of old wood, powder, and the faint iron bite of fear in your throat. The girl beside you has already gone. Her blankets folded neatly. Her pillow left untouched. She never returns after the lantern is lit. That's how it works. Sometimes they come back before dawn. Sometimes not for days. Sometimes not at all. The caretaker walks through the chamber, her sandals tapping softly across the floor. She doesn't say anything to you this time. Just glances. Like she's assessing how much use you still have left. You've stopped asking questions. Curiosity here is dangerous. You're sent to the garden this morning. To gather fallen petals. Not for beauty, but for ritual. An incense ceremony later tonight. One of the higher-ranking concubines will perform it. You're only there to make sure the petals are clean. Unbruised. Like you? You move slowly, picking blossoms off the stone path, careful not to rip them. You think about how fragile they are. How easily they bruise, how quietly they wilt. And you wonder, are you still like them? Or have you already withered? A soft voice startles you. One of the younger girls is kneeling nearby. Her name is Now. She's only 13. Her kimono's still too big for her small frame. Her sleeves drag in the dirt as she works. She tells you she used to watch the petals fall from behind the temple wall near her village. She thought they were messages from the gods. Warnings. Or wishes. You ask what she thinks they are now. She says nothing for a long time. Then she whispers, "I think they're watching, but not helping." You don't respond. You just nod. Because maybe she's right. Later, you're brought to the music room again. The same koto, same cracked fingernails. But now, you're expected to play without mistakes. No stopping. No hesitation. The older girl beside you corrects your posture. Slaps your knuckles gently when you press too hard. She tells you men like the sound to float. Like breath. Not like desperation. Your fingers cramp, but you don't stop. Even pain has a rhythm now. That evening, the Lord holds a gathering. A festival of sorts. To honor the season, or maybe to show off. You don't know. But the entire estate feels tighter, more alert. The other girls rush to clean, prepare, polish every inch of wood and every corner of their faces. You're dressed in soft blue silk. A color that's supposed to represent calm. But your hands shake as they paint your lips. You're placed in the background again. Pouring sake. Bowing. Listening. A group of samurai arrive. Loud. Confident. Dressed in armor you suspect they've never worn in battle. Their swords rattle at their sides like props. They drink deeply. Talk louder than they need to. One of them boasts about the last province he burned. Another jokes about the cost of loyalty. You're invisible to them, until you aren't. One leans too close. He breathes through his mouth. His hand brushes your waist as you try to pass. The Lord watches, but says nothing. You keep moving. Keep serving. The night drags on. Laughter, music, slurred stories. You're numb to it now. You've learned how to vanish without moving. How to make your body stay while your mind steps outside. But then something unexpected happens. One of the older concubines, the one who never speaks, collapses. She was performing a dance. Mid-spin, her knees buckled. Her head hit the wooden floor with a sickening thud. For a moment, no one reacts. Then the room bursts into murmurs. The samurai laugh nervously. Someone jokes that she must have drunk too much. The caretaker rushes in. 2 attendants drag her limp body out of sight. The Lord simply claps once and calls for another dancer. Just like that, she's gone. You don't see her again. The next morning, her futon is empty. Her comb's missing. Her name not mentioned. You don't ask. Because asking means remembering. And remembering is dangerous here. That night, you scrubbed the floors outside the garden again. The petals are gone now. The wind took them. Only bare branches remain. You stare at them for a long time. Like they might speak. Then, from the corner of your eye, you see something move. It's Now again. She's not working. Just sitting. Holding a tiny cloth bundle in her hands. She opens it, and inside is a cracked stone carving. Tiny. Carved in the shape of Jizo, the protector of lost children. She tells you her brother made it before she was taken. She hides it in the garden each day, fearing it'll be found and destroyed. But she says she needs it. Needs someone to know she existed before this place. You promise not to tell. That night, When you lie back down on your mat, the moonlight slips through the paper walls. It lands across your face, silver and soft. You stare at the ceiling, listening, waiting. The hallway creaks. You hold your breath. But this time, no one calls your name. And you're not sure if that's better or worse. Another day begins with silence. No birds. No footsteps. Just that kind of stillness that wraps around you like wet cloth. You blink at the ceiling, your body stiff from the thin mat beneath you. For a second, you wonder if you're even awake. But then the pain in your back tells you yes. Someone died last night. You don't hear it directly. No one announces it. But you know. There's an absence that says more than words ever could. One of the girls is missing. One who never broke rules, never made noise. Her futon's been taken away. Her comb left behind. The older girls keep their heads low. You mimic them. You've learned that mourning is a private thing here. If they see you cry, they call it weakness. If they see you angry, they call it defiance. And if they see too much of either, you just disappear. The caretaker calls your name this morning. Her voice flat, unreadable. You follow her through the twisting corridors. You don't ask where you're going. You just count the steps in your head. She stops in front of a room you haven't entered before. Inside, it smells of ink and old wood. The walls are lined with scrolls, calligraphy, poems, pieces of art from long before you were born. Sitting at a low table is a man in black robes. He looks nothing like the others. No armor, no smirk. His hair is tied neatly, and his hands are pale and clean. He doesn't look at you right away. Just gestures for you to sit. You kneel. Perfectly still. He speaks softly. Asks where you were born. What your mother's name was. You hesitate, unsure if it's a trick. But something in his tone feels different. Almost kind. Almost. You answer. He nods, then asks if you can write. You shake your head. He sighs, and places a brush in your hand. Learn, he says. For the next hour, you copy characters. Over and over. The brush feels clumsy. Your fingers cramp. The ink runs. But he doesn't scold you. He just watches. Corrects your grip once, then returns to his own scroll. This man is a scholar. A visitor from the capital. He's here only for a short while. And he requested silence. No dancers. No music. Just one girl to serve tea and be quiet. So, for a few days, you serve in silence. It's strange, almost peaceful. You begin to recognize the smell of ink. The sound of brush on paper. The way he hums when he concentrates. You don't talk. You don't smile. But for a moment, you remember what stillness without fear feels like. On the fourth day, he asks you to read a poem aloud. You panic. The characters swim on the page. You don't understand them yet. But you try. Your voice shakes, and you stumble through the first few lines. Your tongue feels heavy, foreign in your own mouth. But when you stop, he just nods, says nothing, hands you another scroll. You think he might be the only man here who sees you as a person. And that thought frightens you more than anything. Because you know he'll leave. And when he does, you'll still be here. Later that evening, you return to the garden. The petals are long gone now. Even the trees look tired. You walk past the small shrine near the edge of the estate. The one they don't talk about. No offerings. No incense. Just silence. They say it's for the forgotten. A place for girls who left no name behind. No family. No past. Just this place. Just service. You light a stick of incense anyway. For the girl who collapsed during the dance. For the one who never returned from the Red Lantern room. For the girl whose futon vanished yesterday. For yourself. Back inside now clings to your sleeve. She says one of the girls tried to run. Not far. Just to the outer gate. But they caught her. She doesn't say what happened next. Just bites her lip until it bleeds. The next day, there's a new girl. 14. Maybe 15. Blank eyes. Hair tied in a loose braid. The others don't speak to her yet. That's how it works. You arrive a ghost, and only time makes you solid. You remember your first day. You wonder how long until she forgets hers. That night, the scholar leaves. No farewell. No thanks. Just a silent departure, marked only by the absence of ink and humming. You return to music training. The same cracked strings. The same blistered fingers. But your posture is straighter now. Your hands steadier. You've adapted. And that scares you. Because every skill you gain here, every dance you learn, every note you perfect, every bow you perform, it all chains you deeper into this place. It doesn't make escape easier. It just makes you more valuable. And valuable things don't get released. They get kept. You lie awake again, staring at the ceiling, wondering if your name will be called tonight. If the red lantern will glow for you. But it doesn't. The hallway stays dark. The silence thickens. You think about the shrine. And the incense still burning. And you wonder how long until your name vanishes like theirs. The rains come without warning. Thick, heavy drops pound the tiled roofs like drums. The sound fills every hallway, every chamber, until it becomes the background rhythm of the estate. The garden floods. Mud seeps under doors. The paper walls sag with moisture. Everyone moves slower, quieter. Something about rain changes the air here. The Lord doesn't like it. He's restless. He walks the corridors more than usual. His attendants flinch at his footsteps. His mood sours with every puddle, every rumble of thunder. You see his face once, briefly, when he passes by the music room. There's something in his eyes. Not rage. Not sadness. Just boredom. And boredom here is dangerous. That evening, the girls are lined up in the Great Hall. Not for punishment. Not yet. This time, it's for selection. The Lord is planning a journey. Just a short one, to a neighboring daimyo's residence. An exchange of gifts. Talks of alliances. Entertainment. Formal things. He wants to bring 2 concubines with him. One older, experienced. One new. The older girl chosen is flawless. A swan in silk. You've barely heard her speak, but you've seen her sway a room with just one bow. The new one is you. You don't understand it. You weren't the most skilled. You weren't the most beautiful. Maybe it's your silence. Maybe it's your eyes. Or maybe he just chose at random. That's the thing about power. It doesn't have to explain itself. You're bathed. Scrubbed raw. Perfumed. Dressed in layers so heavy you feel like you're wearing your own coffin. The kimono is blood red with gold thread, too beautiful for a prisoner. Your hair is pulled so tight it aches behind your eyes. The palanquin waits. You climb in. The journey is long and jarring. Hours of silence, broken only by the creak of wood and the splash of mud beneath you. The other girl doesn't speak. She just closes her eyes and leans into the rocking motion like she's done this 100 times. You try to do the same. But every time you close your eyes, you feel the weight of the choice pressing on you. Why you? The other estate is grand, but colder somehow. Less color. More stone. Fewer flowers. You're not allowed to explore. You're not even allowed to look directly at the other daimyo. Just kneel. Serve. Smile without showing teeth. You perform a tea ceremony that night. Your hands barely shake. The room is silent except for the clink of ceramic and the rustle of fabric. The men speak softly. You're not part of the conversation. You're part of the decoration. But then, one of them asks you a question. It's simple. Where are you from? Your mouth goes dry. You weren't told to speak. You glance at the Lord. He doesn't move. So you answer. Softly. One word. The name of a village that barely exists anymore. The man nods. Says he visited it once. Mentions a shrine. You lie and say you remember it. That seems to please him. Later, behind closed screens, you hear them talking. Discussing who to offer as a gift. It hits you like ice. That's what you are now. A token. A bargaining piece. The other girl tells you not to panic. If you're given away, you might be treated better. Or worse. It depends on the man. And the season. And the mood of the gods. No one really knows. You sleep that night on lacquered wood floors, too polished to feel real. Your reflection stares up at you from the surface. You look like someone else. A doll. A puppet. You miss your old futon. Even the bugs. The next morning, the Lord changes his mind. You're not being given away. Not yet. Maybe never. The men argue quietly. The conversation ends with a nod. Just one. And that's it. You're still his. You're taken back to the palanquin without ceremony. No goodbye. No explanation. On the ride home, the older girl finally speaks. She tells you the Lord collects girls like porcelain. Some are displayed. Some are used. Some are shelved and forgotten. She says he rarely gives them away. Because broken things lose their value. Back at the estate, everything is the same. The rain has stopped. The petals have returned. The paper doors creak like they never noticed you were gone. But something has changed inside you. You know now that your life is not your own. That you're a thing that can be passed around. A voice that only matters when spoken through. And the worst part? You're beginning to get used to it. You return to your room. Your mat. The girl beside you doesn't ask where you went. She just shifts slightly to make space again. As if you never left. You close your eyes and breathe. And for a moment, you pretend the rain is still falling. Because at least when it rains, no one sees your tears. Summer thickens the air like syrup. The estate feels different now. The servants sweat through their silks. The girls paint their faces twice a day because it melts off by noon. Fans flutter constantly, but the breeze they bring is useless. It's heat without mercy. You learn to move slowly. To breathe shallow. To avoid the midday hours where even shadows are too tired to stretch. The heat changes people. Some girls become quiet, even mean. Tempers shorten. Eyes narrow. Everyone is watching everyone else, waiting for weakness. Because weakness is opportunity. And in a place like this, opportunity is blood. One afternoon now faints. Not during training. Not in a performance. Just in the hallway. She drops like a puppet with cut strings. No sound. No warning. You run to her, kneel, try to shake her awake, but her skin is ice beneath the sun. The caretakers arrive quickly. They pull her away, not gently. You're shoved aside. You don't even get to say her name. One of the other girls tells you she's being taken to the medicine room. But you know that room. You've never seen anyone come back from it. That night, everyone eats in silence. The broth is thin, almost clear. No one touches the rice. You do your best to swallow it anyway. Hunger is just another test. You pass or you disappear. The red lantern doesn't glow that night. But your name is called anyway. You're escorted to a small, private chamber. Not one you've seen before. It's clean. Too clean. The kind of clean that smells like ashes and vinegar. Inside, there's no music, no food, no men. Just a woman in a dark blue robe. She's older than the caretakers. Taller. Her hair is long and tied back without ornament. Her voice is calm, but her eyes are knives. She tells you to sit. You do. She places a scroll in front of you. A list. Names. Some are familiar. Some are not. At the bottom of the list is yours. She explains this is a rotation. A schedule. The Lord has decided to change how the girls are assigned. No more random calls. No more lanterns. From now on, it's a system. Order. Efficiency. She points to the next name after yours. Then the next. 1 per night. 3 per week. Everyone will be seen. No one will be forgotten. You ask, very softly, what happens if someone refuses? She doesn't smile. Doesn't blink. She simply says, They leave. You know what that means. You're told not to speak of this meeting. When you return to your room, the others don't ask where you went. They don't want to know. Knowing things is dangerous. Words have weight here, and some words can crush you. Later, you watch the moon rise over the courtyard. It's too bright, too clean. Like it doesn't know what kind of world it's shining on. You wonder if Now is still alive. You wonder how many girls were never even missed. The next day, you wake to the sound of screaming. Not human. One of the birds from the garden aviary. It got loose somehow. It's flying frantically through the corridors, crashing into doors, walls, anything. For a moment, everyone just watches. No one knows what to do. It smashes into a paper door and drops like a stone. Dead. The silence afterward is louder than the scream. One of the guards picks it up, tosses it aside like a broken cup. You see the blood on the wall. Tiny. Bright red. Beautiful in a way that makes you sick. Later that day, you see one of the newer girls sneaking something from the kitchen. Just a peach. You think about warning her. But you don't. She's caught within minutes. Dragged by the wrist. She doesn't scream. Just cries soft and strange, like she's trying not to. The next morning, she's gone. No one says anything. That evening, you light a stick of incense at the forgotten shrine again. You don't say names. You don't make wishes. You just sit. And for a moment, you feel something like peace. Not because anything is better, but because you've stopped expecting anything to be. You're 15 now. You've been here for over a year. Maybe 2. Time doesn't move the same way anymore. The seasons blur. The faces change. But the walls stay the same. The songs. The footsteps. The rules. All unchanged. You perform a dance for visiting nobles the following night. The music is slow, mournful. Your arms flow like water. Your body knows the movements now without thought. You don't smile. You don't speak. You just float through the silence, your feet never quite touching the ground. They clap when you finish. Not loudly. Just enough to feel like obedience. You bow. You leave. You return to your room. And when the door closes behind you, something inside you begins to crack. Not loudly. Just enough to feel like surrender. Autumn begins to peel the world in silence. The leaves turn red before falling, one by one, like forgotten names. The air cools, and for a while, it's easier to breathe. The estate shifts with the season. Curtains are replaced. Thicker robes are issued. Meals warm your stomach for a moment longer. But change here is always cosmetic. The core never moves. You've become quiet in a way you never expected. Not just from fear or exhaustion, but from routine. You wake when they tell you. Dress how they tell you. Speak only when prompted. You no longer react to things. You absorb them. This, they say, is discipline. This, they say, is grace. But you know what it really is. It's survival. Your name appears again. The list is kept in the caretaker's chamber now. There's no ceremony, no whispered summons. Just a glance at the wall. If your name glows red from the inkstone, you go. Tonight it glows. You bathe in silence. The maid helping you doesn't speak either. She just pours the water, scrubs the skin, combs the hair. You wonder what she's thinking. If she used to be like you. Or if she still is, just in another cage. Your kimono is deep green tonight. Jade, they call it. The color of calm, of elegance. The irony is not lost on you. You enter the room quietly. The Lord is already seated. He doesn't look up at first. Just sips his tea, watching the steam swirl like ghosts above the cup. You kneel, as always. You keep your hands folded, your eyes low. Eventually he speaks. But not to command. He asks about your music lessons. Your calligraphy. If you're eating enough. It's strange. Almost kind. But it isn't kindness. It's curiosity. A man observing his collection. Checking for cracks. You answer softly, clearly. He nods. Then he tells you to play something. A shamisen waits by the window. You hadn't noticed it before. But you rise, take it gently, and begin to play. The tune is old. Simple. The kind of melody passed down through whispered lullabies and forgotten mothers. You don't sing. Just let the strings carry the weight. When you finish, he claps once. Then silence again. He doesn't touch you. Doesn't say anything more. Just waves his hand. You bow and leave. That's it. No pain. No threats. No commands. And somehow, that unsettles you more than anything. You lie awake long that night, listening to the wind. It howls through the trees like something wounded. Or free. You remember a time when your hair wasn't always tied back. When your voice belonged to you. When a smile wasn't a calculated risk. It feels like someone else's memory. The next morning, a letter arrives at the estate. Sealed with black wax. No one knows what it says. But within hours, everyone's moving faster. The Lord's carriage is prepared. Servants run up and down the halls. Something has shifted again. By sunset, he's gone. Off to war, they whisper. Or politics. Or death. No one is sure. But for the first time, the estate feels quiet. Not peaceful. Just unoccupied. Like a lion has stepped out of its cage. The head caretaker calls the girls together that evening. There's no lantern. No list. Just instructions. You are not to speak of the Lord. You are not to leave your rooms unless called. You are to continue your training as if nothing has changed. As if. The older girls say this has happened before. That he disappears sometimes for months. And when he returns, things are never the same. Some come back with bruises. Some don't come back at all. But during these empty stretches, the girls breathe easier. And you begin to hope. A dangerous thing. That week, you dance differently. Freer. Your sleeves feel lighter. Your hair looser. You let your voice rise a little during song practice. Not enough to be noticed. Just enough to remember what it felt like to own sound. You visit the shrine again. Others join you now. One places a pebble beside the incense dish. Another leaves a single petal. No words. Just small gestures. Offerings. To the past. To the dead. To yourselves. You're not friends. You're not allies. But you're beginning to recognize one another beyond the paint and silk. You see the bruises hidden beneath sleeves. The tears wiped before breakfast. The smiles that don't quite reach the eyes. And it makes you wonder. What would happen if you all stopped obeying? If you ran? Fought? Hid? If the birds broke free before crashing into the walls? But you already know. You've seen what happens. So instead you pretend. You bow. You sing. You dance. And when no one's looking, you allow yourself a breath. A real one. The kind that doesn't ask permission. For now, that's enough. Winter arrives without mercy. The cold seeps in through cracks, under doors, past the paper screens. Your skin feels like it's made of glass. Fragile. Ready to crack. Even the fire in the hearth doesn't seem to reach you anymore. It's just something to watch, something to wish you could be near. But the Lord hasn't returned yet. The silence is heavy. In the halls. In the rooms. In the eyes of the servants, the girls, the guards. Everyone's waiting for something, but no one speaks it aloud. When you walk through the corridors, it's as though you're moving through a ghost house. Empty. Cold. Quiet. You've grown used to the cold. You've learned how to let the chill settle in your bones and keep it there. Tonight, a new servant enters the estate. He's young. Too young for this job, and you can tell by the way his hands shake when he presents the tea. He doesn't look at you, doesn't speak. But you can feel the unease radiating off him. There's something wrong about him, something not quite right. His presence is like a ripple in a pond, disturbing the stillness in a way no one can quite explain. You try to ignore him. You always try to ignore things that don't belong, don't fit into the well-oiled routine of your life here. But then, the next morning, the message comes. It's brief, sharp. The Lord has been defeated. Or so they say. Somewhere in the north, another daimyo has claimed victory. Another bloodline has risen to take his place. You don't know the details. No one does. No one is told. All you know is that the estate is changing again. The servants move faster. Their footsteps now carry weight, anxiety, urgency. You hear snippets of conversation between the older girls. Some are worried. Some are excited. No one knows where the Lord is. What's left of his power? For a brief moment, you wonder if maybe this will be the end of it. Maybe you'll be free. But then you hear the faint sound of a bell. It's far off, distant. But it still carries an ominous weight. It's the sound of a shift. The new caretaker arrives later that evening. She's older than the others. Stoic. Her eyes are sharp, too sharp. She doesn't waste words. She doesn't waste time. She stands before you all and says only one thing. The Lord is returning. The rest doesn't matter. You can feel the air tighten. The walls seem to lean in closer. The girls are already moving. They are ready, prepared. They know what this means. The Lord is coming back, and nothing will be the same. The night passes slowly, achingly. Every shadow feels like a person. Every footstep, a warning. When the morning light breaks through, you know something has changed. It's different. Sharper. The estate feels alive with tension, vibrating with uncertainty. And then he walks through the gates. The Lord. The man who owns you all. But he's not the same. Not in any way. His face is thinner. His eyes are dark, hollow. His clothes are stained with the marks of battle, dirt, blood, things you cannot place. His walk is slower, unsure. He's no longer the man who commanded fear with a glance. He's something else now. A broken thing. You've never seen him like this. For a brief moment, he looks at you. Just for a second. And you swear you see something in his eyes. Not the cruelty. Not the power. But something worse. Regret. It's gone before you can blink. A shadow. A flicker. And then he's past you, lost to the maze of hallways. The new caretaker doesn't wait long to make her move. That night, you're all called to the main hall. There's no music. No dance. No tea ceremony. Only instructions. The Lord is weak. There are no guarantees. No promises. From now on, the girls are no longer his to control. They will be free. At least for now. The caretaker doesn't explain. She doesn't need to. She just looks at you. And you realize she knows something you don't. She knows what happens when the gods of power turn their backs. She knows how quickly people can disappear when the scales tip. You are dismissed. The girls don't speak. No one looks at you. But you know. The storm isn't over. It's just changing direction. Spring arrives with more whispers. The air is thick with the scent of blooming flowers, but something darker lingers beneath. You don't trust it. No one does. The girls walk with their heads down, their eyes fixed on the ground as though the very earth might swallow them whole. It's as though they already know what's coming. It's not hope that glows in their faces, but a quiet kind of resignation. The Lord has retreated further into the estate. You hear him moving in the halls sometimes, but he no longer visits the rooms. No more banquets, no more dances. His presence hangs over everything like the cloud before a storm. And then, one day, the call comes. The summons. The new caretaker, her eyes colder than ice, walks the halls, calling the names of those who will accompany her to the Lord's chambers. It's not the usual rotation. It's different now. The names on the list are handpicked, deliberate. There's no longer any pretense of routine. You don't speak as your name is called. You rise without question, without thought. This time, you go alone. The path is familiar, but it feels strange. The hallways seem to stretch longer, narrower. The silence is thick enough to suffocate you. When you reach the door, the caretaker doesn't wait for you to knock. She opens it herself, pushing it wide with a creak that echoes through your spine. The Lord is sitting by the window, his back to you. His posture is stiff, rigid. He doesn't move when you enter. Doesn't acknowledge your presence. The caretaker motions for you to kneel. So you do. Time stretches like the shadows on the walls. He doesn't speak. Doesn't look at you. The air between you feels like a chasm, a gap that can never be crossed. And then, in one sudden, sharp movement, he turns to face you. There's nothing in his eyes now but madness. "Do you know what it feels like?" he asks, his voice rasping like dry paper. His gaze is wild, his hands trembling. "Do you know what it feels like to have everything, slip away in one night? To lose your world?" You don't answer. You can't. "Do you?" he repeats, louder now. "Do you understand? You've never seen him like this. The Lord, the man who once held all the power, is breaking before you, unraveling like old silk. And you know, deep down, that the very thing that made him untouchable, his certainty, his strength, has shattered. What's left is a hollow shell, a man who once ruled with fear now drowning in his own weakness. But you don't pity him. Not anymore. Because now you see it clearly. The games, the power struggles, the endless dance of cruelty, these are nothing but the echoes of a broken man trying to piece himself together with the bones of others. He's not the monster anymore. He's just a man. A man who cannot protect himself from what he's become. For a long while, there's nothing but the sound of his breath and the quiet hum of the wind through the cracks in the walls. Then, finally, he speaks again. "You'll leave." The words don't feel like a command. They feel like an admission of defeat. He's no longer in control. The words are just a formality now. And you know you can leave. You can walk out of the room. Out of this life. No one will stop you. But what will you have left? What kind of world will you step into? You think about the girls, the ones still here, still trapped in the endless cycle of this place. They might be free now, in some way. The Lord's power might have faltered, but their lives are still bound to the same cycle. And in the end, no matter how far you run, you wonder if that cycle will ever truly break. Maybe it's better to stay. Maybe it's better to wait. Maybe that's how you survive. You bow to him, just as you've been taught. Just as you've always done. The air is thick with the unsaid. The room feels like it's closing in on you. And then you leave. As you step back into the hall, the caretaker is waiting. She doesn't look at you. Just gestures for you to follow. You walk down the hall, back to the silence of your room. And for the first time in a long time, you feel something other than fear. A choice. Not freedom. Not yet. But a choice.